Today we have a tutorial video of That's a Question by Czech Games. Hi, I'm Kevin Baker and you're watching Shangri-La, my YouTube channel for tabletop board games, birding, and other educational videos. Please like and subscribe. This video was not sponsored by Czech Games. It was actually a donation from our friend Elizabeth at this most recent Flamingo Con, number 29 in Delray Beach, Florida. Okay, she gave it to us, and so now we can add it to the library. So I'm going to explain how to play. It's a game for 3 to 6 players, takes about 15 to 30 minutes, ages 15 and up, actually. It cannot be played with 1 or 2 players. That just wouldn't work. You get to be a squirrel and you're climbing a mountain to get to the top. And you use acorns to make sure that everybody gets their turn being asked questions. Okay, so each person puts a squirrel of their own color on the starting place, and then each person takes the matching colors for A, B 3 times and tough question. This is tough question. And I made answer and asker tokens, so those are not part of the standard game, but for the purpose of explaining the game and figuring out who is the asker, why not just make some extra tokens? So the answer token will be played by the person who has to answer the question. The asker token will get rotated around the table clockwise. So the first time that you are the asker, you will get an acorn from the player who will be the answerer. They must have an acorn in order to be the one who is going to be the answerer. That way it's fair and everybody gets a chance to answer questions. Everybody starts off with 5 of the answers, and when you set up your table, you will match this central question with matching colors for answers from your hand. So this says, which would you miss more if it ceased to exist, puns or mountains? I think I did. I'd probably miss puns, but we're not supposed to let anyone know that until they've decided which answers they're going to give. So say orange was the asker, set up the question, and so they would give 1 acorn to the asker. Then secretly, the answerer would take these 2, A and B, into their hand, and then they would put this one face down so that nobody knows which one they've put there. And then A and B would each secretly put their choices down, and then once everybody is set, the answer reveals A, and then we've got 1 person that was correct and 1 squirrel that was incorrect. So what happens now is you award points. So everyone who was correct gets to move their squirrel forward 1 space. So pink was correct, yellow was not correct, and the asker gets to move the squirrel forward 1 space for every incorrect guess. So the orange squirrel gets to move forward 1 space. Now, there are also these kickers. So had A slipped in a 3 times kicker, A could have moved forward 3 spaces if they were correct. So that would be boom. But if A had instead, or excuse me, if pink had instead put in a tough question kicker, then they would get 1 point for every incorrect guesser. But in a 4-person game, they would get 2 points for each incorrect guesser. So the rules are set up for 5 to 6 players, and it says it's more fun with more people, which is usually true. But if it's a 4-person game and pink had done tough question, they would get 2 points. Now this, if it was used, gets tossed onto the board, and it is tossed here into the lake. If they've already passed the lake, or if you pass the lake, you'd get to pick it back up again. If you play it, if pink had played a 3, you would then get tossed into the meadow. Once you get to the meadow or past the meadow, you get to pick it back up again. You get to pick up one of your 2 kickers each time you pass either the lake or the meadow. After points have been awarded, the used answers go away to a discard pile, and then the player that played gets to draw back up to 5 answers into their hand. And then the asker token goes to the next player, and then that player can choose to make the answer any of the other players that have acorns. So you can go right to B to answer the next question. When the deck of cards runs out, then each player will get 1 more turn to be the asker, and then the game will end, and the squirrel that has made it the furthest along the track up the mountain will be considered the winner. Now there are additional cloud spaces, so you can even climb into the clouds if necessary. Well, it looks like a fun game. I can't wait to try it out at the next Flamingo Con on October 4th, 2025. Come on out and play some board games at Flamingo Con. Be well.